Hey guys, it's Tony here at gamefreakblog again, just bringing you another video. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry again that it's been so... it seems like I'm just so busy, I can only manage to get a video a week done at the moment, if that. Last time it was about 2 weeks before my video, but anyway, disregarding all that, thank you for tuning in and watching this video. You are watching some Growl gameplay. This is the side-scrolling beat-em-up made by Taito. It was released in 1990. It used to be one of my really favourite side-scrolling arcade games. I remember playing it loads in the arcade, and I think it may have had a conversion on the Mega Drive. I could be completely and utterly wrong there, but it's probably what I can only really say is the only conservational video game that there is out there. Basically, you play a bunch of gruff mercenaries for hire who beat the living shit out of people that are trying to ensnare wild animals, be that lions, bears, elephants, hawks, and you're just going through it here. Look at this poor lion being whipped to death by these turbaned, I don't know what you call them, bad guys. But anyway, it's not the reason why I'm here. Growl, you know what, when I was actually playing through this game to get this footage, I kind of realised that the game isn't as good as what I remember, which is going to kind of nicely segue me into the topic of conversation for today. But I was playing through this game, and it doesn't really matter which character you pick. They've all got exactly the same moves. It's just a bit derivative. It's not as good as what I thought it was. And I've been kind of thinking about this a lot for the past 2 days. Retro gaming. Retro gaming is a tag that's thrown around a lot in our lovely little gaming community that we've got, and I just thought I'd explore that a bit more, because in case you've missed it, we are at the cusp. We are at the edge. Cusp. We are at the edge of a brand new console generation. I think America are going to get the PS4 within the week. I think a few days. Everyone, well, not everyone, if you choose to play it, but. Anyway, I'm rambling on here. Basically, we're at the cusp of a new generation. We're going to have the Xbox One and the PS4 on us at the minute. Notice I didn't say anything about the Wii U there. It's kind of if you want to say that's the best of the last generation or the first of this generation, I don't know. But I'm specifically just going to comment on the Xbox One and the PS4. They're going to be out soon. And it just really had me thinking about retro gaming. I have pre-ordered a PS4. I'm going to go out and get my PS4 on release day. I've been umming and ahhing for ages as to whether or not I'm going to take part in this next generation of gaming or not. Ever since the Mega Drive, I obviously had a NES and a Master System when they first came out. But around about those times, I was just a one console kind of guy. It was either one or the other, because I was kind of young. I couldn't really afford to go out and have multiple consoles. But then when the Mega Drive came out, I got the Mega Drive, and then of course the Super Nintendo was released, and it just got to the point where I couldn't be without one. There were games on both systems that I had, and ever since those days I've been a multiple console owner. I've bought every single console on the day of release up until recently. I haven't had a Vita. It just doesn't interest me at all. I haven't had a Wii U. Just doesn't interest me at all. I think me and Nintendo are pretty much dead at the moment. I do have a 3DS. But I was actually wondering whether or not I'm going to actually skip this generation. I do really love playing older games, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? That £400 or so that I'm going to be spending on a PS4, I could buy a shitload of old games that I'm actually going to really love and really get stuck into. And I just kind of think at times, with retro gaming is kind of, am I kidding myself? Were games actually better in the past than what we've got today? And in a way, I think they're not. I mean, I defy anyone to kind of say that they'd rather sit and play something old than something new. I mean, I don't know. I'm one of these kind of gamers that, even though I love playing retro games, if it was a choice of, well, here's the new Halo game, here's Halo 5, or you can sit and play through Strider again, of course I'm going to want to play Halo 5. But I do love the older games just for kind of reminiscing and halcyon days. But I do actually believe that when it gets to certain games on certain systems, such as the Mega Drive and the SNES, even up to the PS1 and PS2, that there are certain things about those games that are just a lot better than modern gaming. I don't know whether it's like the whole DLC bullshit that we've got to put up with, and the whole unfinished games and patching and all this kind of thing. I was one of these games that I've never been a PC gamer, because to me PC gaming just seemed like so much of a hassle. It was installing games, it was updates, it was put this in this folder and extract this to this, and I can't be fucked with all that. I just want to sit and plug in a game, slot it into a cartridge, put a disc in and sit and play it. And as consoles have got since this generation that we're in, and the generation that we're about to go in, this kind of always online console thing, it just ticks me off a little bit. I just think it's allowing developers to be lazy. There are some games such as The Last of Us that are just absolutely mind-blowingly good. But then there are other games like the recently released Batman Arkham, was it not Arkham City, Arkham Origins, that is everyone's basically said is a facsimile of the older games. I know it was a different developer, but I don't know, just sometimes games seem a bit lazy. And I was just thinking, shall I skip this generation or shall I just get a load of old consoles? And it just got me thinking about actually what is retro gaming. I sit and I listen to lots of gamers on YouTube and on Twitter and everything like that, and lots of people have got their own definitions of what retro gaming actually is. Some people actually, I see people get really irate about what retro gaming actually is. I see some people on videos like saying, "Oh, anything later than the NES or whatever isn't retro gaming at all." People have their own definitions of what retro gaming is, and I don't know. I mean, listen, the definition of retro. If you were to look in a dictionary, go and get a dictionary, look at retro. Dictionary definition of retro that I've got in front of me says involving, relating to, or reminiscent of things past. So it's an appreciation of older things, Now, I'm one of these people that retro gaming to me is just I don't even know if retro gaming is the right word. I'd probably say like classic gaming. It's just games that you love to play. I hate using this phrase, but back in the day, it's just games that are older, that aren't modern, that you really like playing and you still really like playing. It just puzzles me at times when people get really defensive about retro gaming, and they almost kind of like say, well, anything later than the Spectrum isn't retro gaming. Now, I'm not saying that just because a console's old or it's not developed for or whatever anymore. I don't really know the parameters. I'm not for 1 minute saying, and I don't think anyone listening to this video is going to say or is going to disagree with me. I'm not saying that retro gaming, as soon as the PS4 and the Xbox One comes out, that the PS3 and the Xbox 360 are all of a sudden retro consoles. It's just stupid to think that, because they're not at all. Do you class retro gaming as being something that is playable on a console that is no longer supported? Is that the case? I've seen some people who say Xbox One isn't retro game. The original Xbox isn't retro gaming. PS2 isn't retro gaming. Dreamcast isn't retro gaming. And I think it is because essentially they're not supported anymore. And it's just older games. It's just old games. And I've seen a few people on Twitter, like, actually, kind of saying this in a jokey way, but I think they've actually got a point, because they were saying, now that the new generation of consoles is coming out, is the Xbox 360 now a retro console? And it just kind of got me thinking of what is retro gaming, what actually defines it. And as I said, to me, it's just a love for playing old games. It's a love for the way old games play. It's a love for old systems. It's a love for the dynamics of console. I mean, of course, as far as I'm concerned, the PS1 is is a retro gaming console. I mean, it's old now. You know, if you look back at games like Final Fantasy VII, that was 1997 that Final Fantasy VII came out. You know, Time Crisis, 1997, old games. Knights on the Sega Saturn, I think that was 97 as well. I mean, for me, I remember this because 97 is, from what I can 96, 97, as far as I'm concerned, it's the golden age of console gaming. You think around that time we had Final Fantasy VII, Time Crisis, Knights, Virtua Fighter 2, GoldenEye, pretty much all the games on most of the systems that you regard to be classics, they were released in that little period. As far as I'm concerned, that period, 96, 97, I think it's around those dates, that is the halcyon days of console gaming, and to me it's pure retro. I just believe that retro gaming is just an appreciation for playing old games. But that being said, you know, Gears of War is an old game. You know, Call of Duty 2 is an old game. Does that make those retro games? I don't think it does. But it's kind of one of these things that's hard to distinguish. And I was literally. It wasn't keeping me awake at night, don't get me wrong, but I was sitting thinking for a couple of hours on this of like what actually makes retro gaming, what defines retro gaming. And I just wondered what you guys thought it was. I mean, I'd probably say if you wanted to put a specific on it, if you wanted to kind of clamp me down and said, you know what, I had to write for the brand new 2013-2014 complete guide to consoles, I was the guy that was assigned to write the retro gaming definition. You know, I had to clarify it, I had to put it down, what would I put? And I don't really know. I kind of guessed that I'd say retro gaming is probably, I don't know, 2 generations gone. I'd probably say, alright, if you didn't want to be too strict about it, the PS2, the Xbox, the Dreamcast aren't retro gaming consoles. They're still fairly, you know, recent. But then, you know, the PS1, the Sega Saturn, N64 are definitely retro gaming consoles because they are just that one step more. But even me just thinking that now is kind of like, well, it's all the same thing. It's all the same. You know, some people, excuse me, that I talk to, says say that retro gaming is purely something that's done on computers. You know, retro gaming really harks back to the old days of the, you know, Atari 7800, the Spectrum, the Commodore 16, the Commodore 64, Atari, ST, the Amiga. You know, that's what they think of when they think about retro gaming. And, you know, it kind of is as far as I'm concerned as well. It's old games. I love playing those old systems still, but, you know, but then it's kind of disregarding consoles. You could argue that all of those, the home computing scene went dead because consoles got so popular. I mean, of course, we've still got PC gaming, but, you know, everyone shifted out to try and make themselves a console, with some succeeded, some didn't. So I just thought I'd make this little video and just get your thoughts, just with us running into this next generation of consoles that we've got coming up. You know, are the Xbox 360 and PS3 all of a sudden defined as retro gaming consoles? You know, have we got to wait until those systems are no longer supported before they become retro gaming consoles? Do we have to wait until the next iteration of consoles comes out before the PS3 and the Xbox 360 are retro gaming consoles? What in your eyes defines retro gaming? Is it simply just a love for old games? Is there a timeline? Is there kind of like a line in the sand that you will not cross? You know, the GameCube, that is not a retro console. You know, how do you define it? I'm really interested in hearing your feedback and what you think. So, guys, it's been a bit of a waffle, but you know, I haven't been on for a while now. I just thought I'd say something pertinent just with the next console generation coming up. So what do you think? Let me know your feelings about retro gaming. What defines retro gaming for you? I really, really want to hear what you've got to say about it. So guys, Tony from gamefreakblog signing out for another video. Take care until the next one. I will catch you in the next vid. Please leave your comments. Should you be asked to sign up for a Google account now that YouTube and Google have fucked it all up. Speak to you soon then, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.